Conelrad alert. Civil defense information will be broadcast at 6:40.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Y2K, how can we prepare?
Stop a few of their machines and radios. Throw them into darkness for a few hours.
We are fighting for our lives. My family must survive.
Oh, for 5 years. 1,000 gallons of gas, air filtration, water filtration.
Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and Odyssey. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim. Today is February 25th, 2024. This is episode 429 of Workshop Radio. And you're probably wondering why I'm so low in the screen, and I am as well. But the reason is in just a moment, I have got 3 other fellow content creators in the background ready to answer your questions, ready to inspire and hopefully educate a little bit. We got some good ones for you. So without further ado, let me bring on all my fellow friends here. Hey guys, how are you?
Hi, everybody.
What a Brady bunch that we have here this evening. So
it's the A team for sure.
It is. Well, it's better than being the B team.
I've now been too tall on the live stream for the first time in my life.
Nothing
I had
wrong
to
with
bring
that.
the chair down.
I love your new background, Nicole. That is absolutely gorgeous.
Ken Esch had that, and his wife Carmel gave that to me in celebration of my 500th episode, like a long time ago.
That's awesome.
And I ended up like backlighting it so you could see it because it's black. And
it looks like you should like very quickly sit in the frame and go, now let me tell you a story. Like that's how you should start walking.
Absolutely. Or sit down and do some crocheting. You could do like a live stream crocheting, answering questions.
Get my spinning wheel in here. That's actually not a bad idea.
With the dark red.
You could turn it to orange and we could do like a Halloween episode. It would be awesome.
I think I can change the color. There.
Oh, that is really
perfect.
Nice. I like that a lot.
Fantastic.
I'll send you the link, Tim.
Absolutely. I've been looking for some backup light to give me some definition, not that I need anything
these are just like bar lights on a stand, and they're LED and they're not expensive.
You mean you don't purposely go to be a floating head in all of your podcasts?
Dude, that happened completely by mistake and it became my shtick and I loved it, but it sure would be nice to have just a little bit of something behind me at this point. So it's, we're going to talk about it tonight, but for me, I tried some new things last night's episode and it's always the 1% better, always trying to get a little better. I've been happy with the background for 2 years and now it's time to make it even better. So that's just exactly how it goes. I think everybody knows who everyone is in here, so we don't really need to go around and introduce ourselves very much, but let's go around and I want to ask you, what's everyone's focus been on for content creation lately? What's been your thing for this year so far? Let's start with Nicole, and then we'll work our way Brian and Kyle.
Consistency. By the end of last year, I had stopped posting things at the same time of day, and it was a little hurdy-gurdy, and that hurt for sure. I like visibly saw that. So I have locked in on a live stream schedule that I do. And we publish every Sunday a little thing that says this is what we're doing for the week. You got on mine this week because we're here tonight and we knew it in advance. And then also getting 3 shorts in the morning and 3 shorts in the afternoon.
I know a guy who's doing that same thing right now. And it is, we'll talk about that. Let's talk about that in a minute. I just kind of want to know what we're up to right now. How about you, Brian? What has been, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm quite excited for you. So what have you been up to so far this year?
Amazon affiliates. Amazon influencer program.
Influencers, yeah.
Influencer program, yeah. That's it. And that and just making whatever content I want on my other channels. Because that's what it was originally. I was making content because I wanted to make it, not because I was trying to make money at it or anything. So I found a way to make money at it, and the YouTube and all the other socials just is what I want it to be.
Yep. I get it, man. I like that.
Perfect.
How about you, Mr. Horns below me? You had quite the day today.
That's a great porn name. Horns below me.
That would be Mr. Horn. Sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Horns.
Mr. Horn below me to you.
I'll now be starting an OnlyFans under the name Mr. Horns. But other than that, no, I'm kind of jumping back in. I took a little break for a little bit, just kind of dealing with personal stuff and whatever. But now I'm jumping back in. We're trying to really consistently get the podcast going. We just brought on Joe Blakesley as my co-host, which has been super fun. And it's changed the podcast a lot. And then just trying to consistently put out YouTube videos and put out the darkest humor TikToks I possibly can.
That you can get away with?
Exactly.
Yes.
They catch me. I get nicked every now and then, and I'm like, all right, I get it. But that was a pretty good one.
But at least, it's like the pig or the cow that runs up against the electric fence every so often. Just need to know where the boundaries are, right?
Exactly. Oh, I know exactly where the boundaries are. I'm just trying to see if they're paying attention.
Right.
At this point, I'm making them work. If they're going to moderate me, they're going to have to work for it.
I love it. For me, it's been shorts. I am doubling and tripling down on YouTube. Everything else be damned. I mean, I'm not getting rid of it, but everything else is just kind of, I'll throw it there if it wants to go there. But I have decided that I'm going to live or die on YouTube. Everything is going to be through YouTube. And that's where I'm going to make kind of my money and all of my time and investment into it. And it seems to be paying off. I think for me, I seen over the last while, trying to do everything everywhere kind of doesn't let you do one thing really well. So that's where I'm coming from, is really focusing down on YouTube this year.
I think
Jack always said about everything.
Yeah.
Jack said about everything. Anything that's dual purpose is not good at one, or it's not the best at one. It's mediocre at more than one.
Right.
Chicken,
I mean, look at them.
Pigs.
Multi-tool. They're great for little things, but you wouldn't want to work all day with the pliers off a multi-tool, or you wouldn't want to cut a tree down with the saw on the multi-tool, And if you want to be great at something, I think you got to go balls to the wall and focus on that one thing and just do it.
Yeah.
And if you look at the content creators that are popular on any of the platforms, they're on the other platforms, but they are clearly tailoring for one.
Right.
You don't see
Absolutely.
You don't see a lot of people who are like, I do this and this and this and this and this.
No, and I think that's what's awesome about these, like because all of our content is so not drastically different, but it's very different. Like,
it's
obviously we have
different.
people that follow all of us, but our target audiences are slightly different on what we're doing.
And we all come at it from a different kind of view. And yeah, that's what I love about it. There's a ton, we've all come out of the greater TSP community way back when, and we all part of that family tree, but every one of us has kind of made our own niche. We're all doing our own thing, and it's working. That's what I love.
Yeah, I hate to say that TikTok might be that might be the one I have to start really focusing on more. I'm focused on it a lot, but I've noticed already where it's like my YouTube videos are lacking, because by the time I'm done editing TikToks, throughout the day, I'm like, I don't want to edit anything, especially long form, that I heavily edit everything. So to go through it all is like, ugh, all right. And even still, in my YouTube videos, I see more essences of being on TikTok in my videos, like my long form stuff, which I think is great. I enjoy it, and I've seen a growth from it, but it's still like, all right.
Then go balls to the wall with TikTok and figure out how to make money with it. Because if that's the one you're working at, that's the one you're passionate at, then just keep going. There's one YouTuber I follow a lot. His channel's called Film Booth, and he's really good at breaking down what makes people successful. And one of his mantras is to focus on a single platform. If you try to do multiple platforms, you're not going to succeed at any one of them. And I think that's where I've changed over, because, when I first started, I told everybody, just throw things at the wall and see what sticks. And you kind of have to do that. But once you start finding that traction of what sticks, then, keep making unalive videos on TikTok, right? And see what happens.
Exactly.
All right. I got one more roundtable here before we go into some of the other people's questions. But what's something you've stopped doing content creation wise, Nicole, over the last year? Something that maybe that you, or doesn't necessarily have to be stopped doing, but at least it's not part of your focus, or it doesn't get a lot of attention anymore.
I actually reduced the number of episodes I'm producing. Ish. So I did reduce the number of episodes because my Tuesday Live with John Willis doesn't always fit with the message of my podcast.
Right.
And so I decided to spin that off as its own podcast. And then I got 50,000 emails about and or comments and or messages saying, I really like the Tuesday Lives. So what I've done is I have created a show template that does not require my involvement to reintegrate the Tuesday Lives pretty much mostly automatically into my podcast. So I'm not using the Tuesday Live to grow the podcast, but I am providing that content for people who want to see it. And then you will see a standalone Tuesday Live podcast coming out this year.
I thought that might happen. That's cool. I loved how you backed off on that. You're like, I'm not doing it. Or, it's not going to be part of the feed
everybody
anymore.
Went, no! And I was like, okay, I guess I'll listen to you.
It's all about listening to the community, though, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people talk about feeding the algorithm, but I think it's more about feeding the community. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, Chris Dixon messaged me and he said, I see you guys are doing some more dry good long-term storage. Can you talk about that a bit? And I thought, you know what? That's going to be my Wednesday video. And so I put it into TubeBuddy, which is what I use for kind of pre-research for episodes or for videos to kind of get them search engine optimized. It come back at 100%. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. And so I did. And it's a little different than what, say, my normal Wednesday videos were. But that thing's trended. It's got 1,000 views in the first 3 days. And for a kind of review / Wednesday video on my channel, that's the top trending one I've had in ages. So sometimes you got to try things. How about you, Brian? Anything you've dropped or given up or changed this year?
Given up? No, I don't know. Like I
stopped doing.
I started focusing more on Noster is one thing because I like the interaction there. I've really dug into what I've been feeling when I've been on different social platforms. So like Facebook is a drive-by post because I don't want to hang out there because it makes me feel like shit. So when I go and post on Noster and I go and scroll on Noster for a while, it actually is uplifting and motivational. So I'm trying to build an audience there. So I could fucking give a shit if Facebook grows because I don't want to be there, but it is 3,000 people that eyes go to. So right. I still post there, but the focus is growing places that my type of content, what I put out resonates. And that's not Facebook. Like, I mean, it is. I mean, there's all sorts of people there, but I don't think that's what they're looking for on Facebook.
Right. That makes sense. How about you?
On Facebook, they're looking for I've started doing a picture with a very long story associated with it, like a blog post. People love that there. And the target age of the people who love that there are 38 to 65 or 70.
Well, the whole now we got to post links in the comment, and now we got to do this. And like, fuck that.
No, I mean, just a picture of something you're doing and a long explanation that'll hit. If that's your target audience, then that will hit them.
I read more Reddit posts from Instagram images than I do to actually go to Reddit and read them. Yeah. I mean, I'll sit down and read a 10 image link of, somebody just completely screwing their life up. And you're like, page after, I just read it because for whatever reason, it's there and I enjoy it. But yeah, and Patrick Worman's here. He says boomer here. Yeah.
He's not a boomer.
You're not a boomer, man. Barely a Gen Xer.
If I have to hit see more, it probably ain't happening unless the top
unless that first sentence really grabbed you.
Pretty damn juicy. Yeah. And as far as part 2 on TikTok, anyway, let's move on.
Oh, if I see part anything, it just is gone.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, see something for part 2, scroll.
Right.
How about you there, Butcher? Anything you've given up or changed?
I've been trying to think this whole time. I'm glad I went last on this one, but I don't like, I'm still growing so quick that I feel like I haven't really stopped anything. I've just changed it. Like I've just either grown from it or evolved from it, kind of thing, where it's, I'm still doing the podcast, still doing YouTube, still doing TikTok. The YouTube is obviously lacking, but I'm just going into it with a different mindset of just like, let's just do this. Like, obviously people enjoy it. I don't know. There at the beginning of it, there was still like this kind of like, it feels weird. Like it's weird. Like it's weird to me that I'm doing this. And like we were joking about it on the podcast where it's like me and Joe were calling ourselves content creators, and it still kind of feels like that Jim Carrey meme from Dumb and Dumber is just going like that. I don't know, but now I'm just like, I'm accepting it and we're just running it and we're going for it. And I'm going in as far as I can with it. So
it's like when you first start promoting yourself, you're like, man, this feels weird. I don't like to, say, yeah, but eventually you realize this is part of the business and you have to do the businessy side of stuff as well. So
it doesn't, like, people who follow you want to hear what you're doing.
Right. Exactly. Like that's the thing I think I'm finally really accepting, that it's like, oh, all these people want to know what's happening here because they follow me. They ask questions about it. So it's like, oh, all right, let's do this. And then I think, and this might be the dumbest thing I will say tonight, we're starting early. I'm just going to get it off the table. I was thinking about it and I was pissed because a video got taken down and I was just like, why am I so bad? Like, what is so bad about what I'm doing? The answer is nothing. But I'm like, you know what? If all of these social media platforms want to label me like all of my content dangerous and like not fit for people, I'm like, perfect. That's where we're going. I don't care.
I have a place for you to post, but you don't want to do it.
It's not that I don't want to do it. I don't want to figure out Nostr.
Nostr is so easy.
I know, but it's
like you can get on with this dude right here. For
I know. Listen, I got on it. I was promoting stuff for a while, and then it just fell off.
If you had streamed your live to Nostr today, you would have probably made like a couple $100 in Bitcoin.
And then I have to figure out Bitcoin. Dude,
come on.
I'm still trading in pigs, dude.
He reminds me of me, guys. Do you remember, Brian, when you first brought up Lightning to me and you're like, you need to use Lightning? I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't have the time. I have no interest. And like 10 minutes later, you guys drugged me kicking and screaming and you're like, here, do it. And now
we just installed it in your group and we said, screw you.
Right.
I have all the stuff. Technically all of my stuff is still set up. I just don't, it's just not there.
I don't know if people are watching live streams of people cutting meat up on Nostr, but
that was the cool thing about the live I did today. The amount of people that posted, I probably saw it 15 times, of people going, there isn't content like this on here. This is awesome. Like, this is super cool. And I ended up getting 1,500 subscribers in 3 hours.
So
what does that turn into for you?
Huh?
What does that turn into for you? Is there a monetization path for that?
There is, but it's like I made something like $5 on live today from all the diamonds and all the stupid shit people post on it. Again, I'm
people give you diamonds.
I'm promoting myself on these platforms. These idiots doing this.
Courts or nothing.
I appreciate it, but yeah, they'll send you like little gifts and stuff like that. I need to figure out how to actually get that money. I'm not set up for that yet. But the part of it is the more followers you get, the more eyes that are on you. So then you start putting out more content about certain stuff and you make sponsor money off of TikTok. That's where the money is.
Here's the first thing you got to do. The first thing you got to do is figure out how you get your money if you're going to make any.
Listen, I'm just doing it for the people, man.
Oh, you friggin' hippie. All right. Have a good night, Cotton. No.
Okay, so I think we should have a contest because I've never live streamed on Noster. So now it's whoever does it first gets something. What do we get?
Oh,
Whoever does
man.
what first? What are we
I've
getting?
never.
First person to stream on Noster, the other one has to send something to the other person so we get it done. I'll send you 5 pounds of coffee if you stream on Noster before
I was going to say, I was looking to see how many Satoshis was something here, but that's all right.
I mean, I could do Satoshis.
Kyle,
I'm
I'll
giving
send you
away
the
a million Satoshis next week, but
you're using StreamYard, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, can we?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, why didn't you see? I only streamed to 7 places. I have room for one more, so I could do that.
You have to pay for it. Well, I'm trying to figure it out. There's an easy button. There is a service you can use that you pay 5 sats a minute to stream there. So 300 sats for an hour show or whatever.
Right.
And all it gives you is an RTMP key and you plug it in.
Okay.
I did it this week in the morning on my show.
Well, I remember like me and Josh, like when Josh was still in the fold, we were I was on his show a bunch and doing the Nostra Nest.
The Nest. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing, going like kind of after dark audio show once a week on that, because they just released a new version of Nostra Nest that's supposed to be way better.
I will absolutely be your co-host for that.
I was wondering if we wanted to do like
I would absolutely do an after dark show on Nostra with you.
I'd pop in on occasion. I can't,
I think you and I could make some serious money on Nostra with an after dark show.
So that's about who gets it done first.
That's right. So for me, speaking of streaming, YouTube has been dropping all kinds of new features lately. And one of them is vertical streaming. And not just vertical streaming, but it's basically a pure copy of what TikTok's doing. And so the vertical streaming is going to be, so when you're on TikTok, for instance, and you're scrolling through their feed, every 10, 12 videos, you'll get a live stream that you can click on. Well, they're going to start promoting that via a vertical streaming in the shorts feed on YouTube as well. So, and that has just basically gone full public here recently. So that's my next kind of thing.
So you're going to do a separate stream then?
I think so. Yeah, I do. Because here's the other reason. Instagram recently started allowing third-party streaming platforms. So for a little while, I was streaming from StreamYard to Instagram. But
that was a royal pain in the ass, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a pain in the ass. And I don't know. The quality was horrible because you're trying to do this and this at the same time, and it looked like shit.
That's tough.
Yeah. So what I'm probably going to do is attempt to do a vertical live stream for TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, with the focus being on YouTube, because the shorts have, I think I looked and I've gained 150 subscribers from shorts in the last 10 days on YouTube. And I've had 250.
Where the majority of my subscriber growth comes is from the dog YouTube or the dog shorts.
Well,
yeah.
That's what's crazy. That's what's crazy about today. I took a lot of inspiration. I take a lot of inspiration from John Willis. I'm just mean to the people in my lives. I just yell at them. I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's 3:00 on a Sunday, watching me on TikTok. Hey, hit the like button, go to my page, click on the YouTube button, go over and like that. I'm going to be here. And I just yell at people, and I gained over 100 subscribers on YouTube today just from that.
Good man.
So it's oh, all right. There's some growth. Starting to figure it out. There's some burnout when it comes to all this. Where
100%.
If you're not growing, you get burnt out a little bit.
So Willis has been using the vertical streaming, and what happens on his streams is his typical nightly stream would have a couple hundred people before. Now what happens is anybody who's liked any of his shorts gets served up this live, and so he'll have waves of hundreds of people come in. It'll be 200 people, 500 people, and then they some get disinterested and leave, and some stay. but he's, and somebody's always asking, random weird questions now because there are people who don't hang out there all the time, but that's not a bad thing. But you'll see his numbers go up and down throughout his live.
And his live stream numbers have gone through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would be, quite typically, most of his lives 24 hours later would have had maybe 1,000 views, 2,000 views. Now they're like 6,000, 10,000, 25,000 sometimes. So I've been watching it. I was, holy cow.
No.
But the shorts right now on YouTube, no matter, and here's the thing, I've been giving a lot of thought to this lately too, about being kind of on the bleeding edge or the leading edge. Whenever a platform releases something new, that's when you got to jump on it. Whether it works or doesn't work, you got to do it then, because you're going to get a huge return. Did any of you guys see YouTube just in the last little while will now take your RSS feed? They'll automatically turn all of your audio podcasts into a video with a static image and create a new playlist on your channel for you. Also allow you to run ads on it. And going forward, every episode that goes to my RSS feed is now uploaded directly to YouTube.
But isn't that your live anyway? Do you have
absolutely it is. Yeah. So yeah, it is. And so it's been up for like 3 days. I've had 300, 400 views just like that. I've made like $4 in ad revenue already.
So this is a reason to go change my RSS to not just be the last 100 episodes.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And go back and get all the history. That's actually my mind is now blown. I'm blown.
So here's go ahead, Brian. You tell me first and then I'll keep going.
Could you put that on a new channel?
Yes, I think you could.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah. See,
because my podcast is my live stream, so it's already there.
It is, but here's the thing. YouTube, because they're hot and horny for audio turned into video, they are throwing it at everybody, right? So I'm just randomly getting people listening to 20, 30 of these episodes, right? For anybody in the audio only, Brian is making all kinds of phallic gestures with his hands. And so what they're doing is they are pushing all of this now. So these audio files are just getting thrown out there and people are grabbing them. And I'm getting all kinds of feedback from people. And then you're getting people who are starting to listen to 3, 4, 5 episodes. And the first guy he listened to, he's like, why isn't your podcast have any listens? Because like the episode had 1 listen. And I'm like, dude, I promise I'm not that new at this.
Right.
You're like, because it's been up for 10 minutes.
Right. So it is definitely something to look. The YouTube has been pushing all this new stuff all at once. And so that's where I've been putting my energy right now.
I'll have to get on that because I've noticed since Joe's come on, I've noticed a definite growth in our podcast numbers where it's like, I think I just looked at it because I just uploaded it to Opus. Last night's was up to like 39 views, which again, I'm still so new that it's like, for me, it's like 39 people have watched it in the last 23 hours. That's insane. That's insane to me because that makes me go, oh, then there are people out there like me who have a random YouTuber that they watch, that they make sure they watch their live every week. And it's like, wow. All right. That's crazy.
So I'll throw this out here too, since I'm just kind of talking about my YouTube strategy lately, but I've been using, and we've got questions about Opus, but I've been using Opus like crazy again. So 3 videos in the morning, 3 at night. Now the rest of them, they just go to TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. They all go there. And I don't even really care completely how coherent they are. You know what I mean? Like I go through them and I make sure they're there. But a lot of times folks will just, you'll get more traction when it ends on a cliffhanger or something, because people get pissed off and they'll start typing and asking questions. But what I've been doing on YouTube is, so the great thing about Opus now is it's 1 click per platform. So I go in there and I have my video up and I click post to, and I go YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're all live. Just like that. There's no extra work involved. But with YouTube, I hit make it private. I go over to Studio and I do 2 things. Number 1, I link the video. So on the shorts now, you guys notice they have that little link where you can click from the short to the full version.
Yep.
So I use that. And number 2, I go down and I turn off notify subscribers when you're live, when your short goes live. So that what I'm not doing is pissing off all my existing subscribers with 6 or 10 or 12 shorts a day. But they're still getting thrown out into the shorts feed because that's really what I'm using. I'm using it as bait to kind of reel in people to the channel.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
No, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
I've been using, me and Joe split an account. So we're using it for the podcast and for both of our just regular content we put out. But I like to put extra editing into it naturally and like put in a bunch of my plugs and stuff like that on the end of it. So it's like I usually have to pull it out of Opus, download it, then get it onto my phone and do whatever I need to do with it. So I'm doing more of them for sure, but I'm still like, shorts. All right, let's get them out.
Opus is definitely a PC or like a desktop kind of interface. Way, yeah. But if you're willing, the more you do it, the faster you streamline it. And now, so what I did, like as soon as my episode last night finished, I take the StreamYard link and I throw it into Opus. Yeah. And within 10 minutes, it had 33 clips. This morning when I wake up, I take a half an hour and I filter through all those clips. Any of them I like or need to modify, I modify them and then I hit the heart next to them so that I know all the ones that I'm going to use going forward. So for the next 5 days, I have enough clips to post 3 in the morning, 3 at night, and then I have my process. And then I repeat it once a week.
So we've been using a tool called Metricool to schedule the Opus clips. And I'm working with somebody else. I'm working with Letty to get it all done. And that way the two of us can make sure we're not posting things at the same time, because I'm also making original shorts and she's mostly doing the Opus stuff. And it's been a pretty cool tool, but now that Opus's scheduling works, we'll schedule out for 2 weeks on things.
Nice.
And that's been a game changer for me timeline wise, because there's no way I would keep up with 3 and 3 without the ability to schedule that out. And we may move back into Opus and stop with Metricool, but Metricool has a calendar and you can be like, okay, like early bird prices are expiring next Friday for Self-Reliance Festival, right?
Right.
So, between now and then we're going to talk about that. Well, we can see we need to put these messages out on different days. So maybe the shorts we choose have more to do with Self-Reliance Festival on one of those days versus something else. And that's a really nice collaboration tool.
I'll have to check. Metriclips, like
Metricool. I'll type it in the comments, but it's Metricool.
Oh, Metricool. Okay.
It's a paid thing. I think I pay $50 a month, but for the capacity it's given me to not have to pay somebody to post things on a schedule, that's actually kind of nice.
Oh, I know. I think last time we did this, I had just recently tried a very quick experiment with a company who was supposed to make shorts for me. And it was very, very, very expensive. And it was a huge letdown. And within a month, this whole AI thing blew up. And I can't even imagine they're still in business, but that's neither here nor there. And Opus, I probably spend $80 a month on Opus. And that is worth every penny for me, because I'm just not a shorts editor kind of guy. And so I just let it do its thing. And it's getting better. The latest, they just released a new, it's like 3.0 or whatever. Yeah. And the head tracking in it, oh my God, is so much better. And it even, so, the video, Brian, that we shot at the tail end after SRF was done, the 4 of us sitting on the deck of the cabin, it was smart enough to grab all 4 of us from a static image and create 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that.
That looked really good.
It did. I was quite impressed. And that was 100% automatic. I didn't have to tweak that even a bit. I didn't even have to tell it there was 4 people in the picture. It just did it. So, yeah. We're all geeking out on all this stuff, but I hope people enjoy it. Because
Opus, my only complaint is that the videos look a little blurry.
It's getting better. So I've noticed since I've started sharing my StreamYard link directly to it, my video has come through a little better. And I've also noticed that since they've upgraded to 3.0, the video quality seems a little sharper as well. Because that was a huge, oh man, some of that early stuff was just, oh yeah.
I got a lot of complaints and I was like, you're getting shorts, man.
Yeah. It's either you get them or you don't. And if you want to complain, well, at least you're feeding the algorithm. So I'm happy. So you guys want to work through a few questions?
Let's do it.
See if we can. All right. This one comes from Worm, all about, and that's WERM on Telegram. He was on my show for a Halloween episode. Relaunching a podcast. I started a show a couple of years ago. Didn't keep up with it, but I'm about to get back into my workflow. I'm trying to decide if I should start a whole new stream or try to resuscitate the one that's been dormant for about a year. I understand there may be an algorithmic advantage to starting fresh and being eligible for new and noteworthy placement. Anybody want to grab that one? Any thought? Basically, we'll break it down to used to have a podcast, did pretty good with it for a little while, let it die a slow, painful death, and now wants to go back to it. Should they start brand new, or should they take the bones of the dead podcast and try to build on top of that?
Are you doing a new thing, or is it the same thing? Because if it's the same thing,
that's what I'm looking at Brian.
You've already got the same audience, and I can tell you that like the up and coming creators status that you get on Facebook, as a person who's had a podcast for 7 years and just walked away from Facebook for 3 of those 7, I went back to posting on Facebook and I got up and coming status, even though my podcast has been around and that page has been around. So I'm not sure that you get that much of an algorithmic advantage. But I don't know all the platforms that well. So, but your audience is there and you'll start with something. But if it's a different topic, then I'd start new.
Yeah.
Right.
So it depends. Oh, wait. Anyway, no. Go ahead, Brian.
I mean, up and coming, I think from what I read is only that it's gaining traction, not that it's new. So if it went from 0 to 100, then that's up and coming. Doesn't matter if it's new or old. And yeah, if it's the same topic, why not? You already have subscribers somewhere that their shit's gonna light up when you put an episode out. They didn't unsubscribe, probably. You just stopped posting.
Most didn't.
I will say it's whatever the topic was, what stopped you from doing the podcast? Is it because you didn't want to do a podcast on that topic? Like you just started getting burnt out from it? Then change it, obviously. But it's like,
yep.
I think that's the other big thing is you need to have a good topic that you mentally know you can talk about for eternity. Like if you kitty corner yourself into a topic because it's popular and people like that topic, but you hate it or you just don't want to do it anymore, then the podcast is going to fail because you're not going to put the work into it that needs to be put into it because you don't really care.
I agree. And I think that, man, there's so many ways to go with that, but it's true because when it comes down to it, once you build an audience, you can kind of branch a little bit. You can't, I'm not going to start, I don't know, reviewing, kitchen wall paint. Well, maybe I would actually, I don't know, but
bikini.
I would expect you to do kitchen wall paint. Like that would make sense.
You started talking about movies and it was great. So.
I know, right? So I wake up one Saturday morning and I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing movie reviews. And so I just loosely tied it into post-apocalyptic stuff, which is the prepper thing, and people loved it. So if you're passionate about it, I mean, you can ruin your channel. You can. Or you can, I guess what I found is, if you want to be the really huge 1 million subscriber person on YouTube, you're going to need to be very specific and very niched into something, at least in my opinion.
And
but if you want to have
likes,
right. But if you want to be, because I mean, you look at Mr. Beast, for instance, take him. If you guys know Mr. Beast?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, even though he goes into different videos every week, his shit is the exact same every week. It's stay in this kitchen or stay in this grocery store for 6 months and I'll give you $1 million, or, be the last person with your hand on a car and I'll give you $1 million. Right. I mean, he knows his formula. and he has done it through and through. So, he starts offshoot channels and different things. But for me, I'm really cool with, I'm going to build a prepper-based community, and I'm going to dabble in all these different little offshoots that make me happy. I may never get to 1 million subscribers. I'm okay with that. But 100,000, well, it's already paying my bills anyway, so I'm cool with that where it is. But yeah, so
can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
What are you doing this for? What are you making content for? Why are you doing it?
Money.
Yeah.
Not completely, but I 100%. The freedom, the money, and the helping people, all three of them. That's what I want. I want it to pay the bills. I want to be the person that people turn to and they're like, hey, what do you think about this? And
why did you start doing it?
Those reasons, to help people and to make money. Yep. The two, I originally, when I started, I thought it would help me make more money in my all seasons maintenance because I was thinking I was going to bring it in, but it was always for me helping people and making money because I needed a creative outlet. But here's the thing. I don't have the ability to do something creative long-term without getting a return from it. I get bored really, really quick. But if I'm getting some sort of return on my investment, I can stick with something for a long time. And so for me, it's helping people and making money. And
I am so envious that I would not say money out of the chute like you will, because that is why I don't make as much money.
That's okay.
I totally do it for mentoring future leaders.
Yeah.
That's it. Empowering people to take control of their life so that they do well. And that is what I've always, like, if I look at everything I've ever done in my life that went anywhere decent, it was because I was helping people become future leaders. And that's it. And so I would, I will say the place where I fall down some is I don't monetize as well as I should.
Yeah. And yes, I jump pretty quick on, to make money as well. But it's also because I want to do it.
Right.
When I started it, it was I think I can do this. Actually, let me rephrase that. A lot of it was out of spite, just watching all these people on YouTube and just I can do this. Are you kidding? And then I got into it and I'm like, this is awful. This is so hard. But yes, I can do it. And now that I've grown with it, I look at it and go, oh, I can make money at this. I can figure out a way to do this. And again, with the freedom of working for myself, doing what I'm doing, it's a very niche thing, but people want to see it. So there's, the freedom, money, and to help people for sure.
And, when I have a really good month financially from YouTube or, certain affiliate links and that sort of thing, I'm really happy with it. But I will tell you right now that there is nothing in the world that makes me happier or smile more than when somebody comes to me at Self-Reliance Festival or sends me an email and says, hey, I started a handyman business in New Brunswick and I'm just starting to really kick ass and take names. And a lot of it was because of what you talked about, Tim. That beats everything all day long.
For
but
sure.
I absolutely won't make any qualms about the fact that it's also a business proposition for me and that I've treated it as a business from day one and that I look at things and I'm like, okay, where can I improve and make a little more money here?
Well, listen, I farm as well, so I'm used to being involved with businesses that don't make any money. So I'm just adding it to the pile.
By the way, I did the math on sheep today. We should talk about that at some point.
Sure. What are your thoughts,
I realize
Brian?
that if I want to make a good living, I need to sell annually 500 sheep.
Yeah, ask me why I'm not doing
Holy shit. Oh, no, thank you.
I did the math on that after spending all gosh darn day. And I was going to say the F word, but all fucking day.
You're good.
Making fucking cheap.
We're past that point now. We're 40 minutes in.
That's what
I'm already clicking that explicit button.
You
We're good.
think that this is the lighting? No, this is because I'm sunburned from running around and chasing sheep.
Oh, I'd love to see the sun. That'd be nice. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, move down here, Tim.
I'm working on it a little bit anyway. At a time. What's that,
Never mind.
Brian?
You just have a stroke?
We'll talk.
What
We'll
just
talk.
happened?
We'll talk. I talked to my friend again today.
Oh, yes, nice. Yeah.
But no. So I struggled with this when I got to like December, and I talked to you about it, Tim.
I remember. Yes,
because I just didn't care anymore. I didn't know why I was doing it because I wouldn't do the stuff that I didn't want to do that I knew was what you had to do to make money. The 3 shorts in the morning and 3 nights in the night, and doing different, doing all the things. And I realized it was not why I was doing it. Like, why I started it was to share with people what I was doing and how I was doing things and how I did things and how I screwed things up. It wasn't about making money. Making money was like an afterthought that, oh, maybe I can make a living doing this. And when I realized I could make money somewhere else, and I just started making content because of the reasons that I used to make content, I enjoy it a lot more.
Right.
But you're also starting to make a little bit of money, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I found the way to do it that I didn't have to compromise anything. I just did the videos. Like there was no jumping through hoops and all of that bullshit, growing subscribers and doing 15 shorts a day. I just do the videos and put them there, and somebody else handles it and I make less money off it. But I found other ways to make money than making the videos. Like we've talked about direct affiliates and stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
That is better than playing the YouTube games, in my opinion.
But we talked about this a fair bit, and I think if I remember, I was like, find the thing that works for you that you love doing, and find the thing that's going to bring in a little bit of income and do more of that, and fuck the rest of it. And you're doing it. I love it, and you're happy with it, right?
Well, yeah, and it's making doing the morning show in the morning. I don't have to worry about it, because if I just have fun with it and blow off steam or laugh at people, or we have jokes. I mean, we talked TikTok conspiracy theories 3 days in a row, and it was fantastic. We were talking about
I love it.
Science
I love the new morning
and all sorts of fun shit. But if I just do that, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to rely on it as revenue stream. So if it makes money, great. If it doesn't, if it gets blown up for some reason because I say something stupid, because I'm known to do that, okay, whatever.
So that's a good segue into the question from Jeff from earlier. Let's read this one. Do y'all have a backup, Odyssey or Rumble, if YouTube or TikTok gets even more draconian?
Yes, well, all of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, number one, I have my Patch of the Month club, which I've been slowly growing. That's probably my biggest backup right there, is some sort of income. Because if I were to lose everything I've put into YouTube, that would hurt a lot, like a huge, and I get that. But yeah, I mean, Odyssey, Rumble, it's all there, and I'll gradually keep growing, especially Rumble. That's the one where I've gotten the most alternative traction. It's really the only alternative platform that I've felt good about long-term continuing to invest in. So yeah, I've got a backup. I try to play within the rules. That's the other thing, is you're on their platform, and we've talked about this, and you either get to flaunt the rules and eventually, and you know what? They might change the goalposts and kick us all off eventually anyway. And if that happens, we'll deal with it. That's why I have businesses outside of YouTube as well, because this is not my only bucket and my only funnel.
I make my money by selling coffee at hollowroast.com. That is the majority of my income. My podcast makes me a little bit of money. And Self-Reliance Festival, the gross receipts were above $50,000 last time, and I took $6,000 out of that at the end of everything. After all the expenses. That's not a lot of money for 6 months of work.
No,
but it's, yeah.
And I will tell you that I put more hours in on SRF than I do on Hollow Roast.
Right.
So having like that brick, I've really thought about that a lot this year. Like, I actually make my money from the coffee. And that means that I should put more attention to the coffee in a lot of ways. But
I had
to me, Self-Reliance Festival is very important for building. I was listening to the podcast that Jack and John Willis did for Homestead Apprentice, and Jack said, you know, like he didn't call it the TSP network. He's like it's not really our network. It is the network that needs to happen as society kind of goes through the transition we're going through right now.
Sure.
And so I see SRF as instrumental to helping the people who wake up have tangible next steps.
No.
I had the same conversation with someone very similar, same things too, really. Like, yeah, what do you selling?
Yeah.
What's
at
your
this
message?
point, this point for me, it's like if all of my stuff just blew up and just burst into flames, it would be like a net positive for me. Probably that's where I'm at right now. But again, I'm growing. Like this is like content is not like content's a marathon. Like if you just try and sprint into it with 110% and all of it, one, good for you. Like give it that energy, but you're gonna burn out quick. Like you need to put in the work. You need to put out the videos. You need to grow. You need to grow in yourself and your ability.
Oh yeah.
You got to get to the point where it's like, oh, I actually have to really worry about. I have all my stuff on hard drives and stuff that I can re-upload later. Not TikTok, but like all of my YouTube stuff.
But if you want to follow me on Odyssey, just go there and follow me. Because the other thing is these tools like Odyssey and Rumble, you can basically automate being backed up to there, and it's a hedge. Right. You're done.
I have a Rumble. I synced it, but even the last time I looked at it, like a month ago, nothing had synced from.
Why aren't you on Odyssey?
I don't know what Odyssey is, Nicole.
Because it pretty much died before
like you need to pay
Kyle was even
for an
around.
hour of consulting or trade or something.
No, check this out. Because you were saying you're going to have a contest with who will live stream on Noster first. You know, when I put my show up there the other day, it was like the first non-developer gamer thing that had been on that streaming service.
Right.
The first that anybody said they saw.
Odyssey.
I mean, they had developer talk, and I'm like, why aren't people sending their shit here?
Because we haven't figured out how yet, which will probably take. Based on my experience of last time I had to figure out something on Noster, 7.5 minutes to figure out.
Yeah, pretty much. Because people are building the tools to do it.
Yeah,
all you have to do is find the tool.
You find the tool, you ask people like Brian who've already figured it out, and he says, do 1, 2, and 3. And then you go do 1, 2, and 3. And if you get to 2 and you have a question, you go, hey, Brian, I got the 2. And
or you go to Noster
and you do 3. And he's like, well, you just do 3, Nicole, and then you do 3 and you're done, right?
But Kyle hasn't figured out Bitcoin yet, so
yeah,
dude.
But you look at Fountain, for instance. You're talking about.
Where are you? Like, we got to get that changed.
We'll get him there.
I'm talking about third grade level. You want me to figure out an entirely new currency?
It's not bad.
It works the same as our currency, basically, except for better.
Easier.
Like, I mean, the interface is the same on your phone.
You think my wife trusts me with our own currency? No.
Dude, I can't even get Venmo in
Canada. We got
to
talk to his wife. That's what you're telling us.
Right.
Good luck.
So, you're talking about, Brian, how you're the first non-developer podcast.
I mean, that I've seen, it's almost all. It seems like it's almost all developer chat.
Well, look at Fountain. Fountain is almost like 80% cryptocurrency podcasts and that sort of thing,
right?
I get
so much good interaction there, though.
I do too. Oh, I do too. I love it. It's just there. You don't have to worry about it. And yeah, I enjoy it. I've made, I don't know, $200-300 maybe off it over the years, but I love that it was really the first place that I started getting comments on my podcast. That's where I was starting to get some community feedback, other than maybe occasionally in the live stream. But Spotify has something now that I really haven't looked into a whole lot yet, but where they let you ask questions or poll your audience while you're when you send out your episode. Because mine's hosted on what used to be Anchor and is now Spotify. So
yeah, I do the same thing.
the thing with Fountain too is if people get frustrated with Fountain because they are going through growing pains because everything's so new. Everything's new in this space, relatively for sure new. But you can go to Podverse. You can go if you go to podcastingindex.org, I think it's been a while since I've went there. But there is a list of applications that support value for value streaming for podcast players. So Fountain is just one of them, and Podverse is another one, and there's 100 of them that you can choose from that offer different services. Ones that you can tip the podcaster, and ones, so reach. If you don't like one, there's plenty of others. It's like Nostr. It's all protocol, not platform. So you choose how you interact with it.
That's what I love about Nostr is it's a protocol. Like when I realized like that's how email used to work, right?
Yeah.
All right, I got another question. This one's from Zippo88 or something. I think I know where we're going to go with this. But question: if you have no skills, where do you start on changing things? Who wants to answer
what
that?
Kind of things?
I think maybe this was from a few minutes ago, but I'm thinking it has to do with improving your content. Let's take it from a content creation aspect of things. So, I mean, I can say that when I first started making content, like I said, mine looked like a kidnapping video. I mean, you couldn't hear me. You could barely see me. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to write a script. I didn't know how to open or close. I would just sit there and talk all day and not tell you anything. And I looked at it and I'm thinking, okay, what sucks about this? Well, other than the fact that it's everything, what's the thing that sucks the worst? Okay, my audio. So how am I going to improve that? So I think the only way you learn, like you say, you have no skills. Well, nobody's born with skills. You have to learn them as you go. So find something you want to improve, watch it on YouTube and go from there.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at all of this content stuff the same way you look at anything else. Like if you just walk into a job the first day that you've never done before, you have no skills. But guess what? If you're there 6 months later, you've learned the skills to be good at that job. Hopefully.
Right.
Like, and if you haven't, then you're probably not there, kind of thing.
Look up what you want to learn on YouTube and look up what you want to learn on Google or whatever search engine you want to do. And learn how to do it that way. And if you can't easily find out what you want to learn how to do, or you can't find it in a way that you learn easily, make it because someone else is looking for it.
Right.
If it takes you a long time to find what you're looking for, or you don't find it in the way you need it to consume it, make it.
And even if it's shitty, everybody's going to love it because it's literally the only one on YouTube that explains how to do it. Like headphones, right, Brian?
100,000, going on 100,000 views because I just told people it took me forever how to figure out how to fix them. And once I figured it out, I just made a video about it. And I routinely get comments that are like, holy shit, man, it worked. And I'm like, well, no shit. If it didn't work, I wouldn't have put a video of it. But
Well, that's great.
Thanks. But the super thanks. And like, they're $200 headphones, and you save people $200, and some of them will throw you $5.
Right.
So I'd like to take this from the other tack. What
Yes.
if I have no skills? Where do I start? Separate from content creation.
I was thinking about that.
And I think there's two things. One, we don't talk about mental health very much, but if you think you don't have any skills, then I suspect that you have a self-confidence issue. And it's probably because you feel like you're not good enough. And that is hard, but it's also something that many of us go through over our lives. And so I would reach out to find somebody who you can talk to about addressing that, because as you realize your worth, it's easier to put things out there that are your skills. And I have yet to meet a single person on this planet who does not have a skill of some sort.
Oh, right.
Whether it be the ability, like I've got a neighbor who doesn't talk much, Nighthawk, right? He's not a talker. But if you want to ask somebody what's going on with people in the room, he has observed everything. He's an observer. And so he knows, he'll be like, that person's going through something and you should reach out to them to see if they need some help. That person is, you know, super happy, like give them a cheer, like all of those things. So I've like, there is no such thing as no skills. You have a skill. And if you want to build new skills, if you want to find new things, then try new things. And the biggest thing you need to let go of is that fear of failure, because failure is a teaching tool. Failure is how we grow. And sometimes that means we do something really shitty. Like,
yeah.
As I said, I chased sheep all fucking day today because we had to figure out, like, it wasn't because the fencing was shitty. It was because we had to figure out why the sheep wanted to leave the paddock. And it wasn't until the end of the day that we figured it out. And now it's done. But like, that wasn't like a really prime example of how to raise sheep. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. And it's like, we talk about all the work that goes into this and what we have to do and the posting and the editing and this, that, and the other thing. At the end of the day, this really isn't that hard. It's a first world problem that we're bitching about. Of like,
yes.
And it's like, I look at it and it's like, anyone can do this. I did it. I read at 3rd grade level. Brian's a vagabond, just in a camper somewhere. He's getting all this done. At noon today, I was like, I'm going to call Brian a vagabond on the podcast tonight.
That's a big word for a dude with a 3rd grade education, my friend.
Man, it took me
3
all
syllables.
day to get it. You don't know how many times I said vagabond out loud today. While I was just packaging, I was just going vagabond.
I was pronouncing Peralta all day, so.
Apparently, Brian lives in a van down by the river. Oh, sorry. Yes.
I actually want to go way smaller than what we have right now, so we're getting close to van soon. You got some weight you need to shed first, don't you?
Right.
3 really big weights that he's not shedding anytime soon.
But they shed all the time now.
Yeah, listen,
I ask all the time how old they get.
At least
I have a 17-year-old cat, just so you know.
Yeah, but I'm sure he doesn't weigh 190 pounds or whatever whatever the boys weigh.
They're 150. Well, I don't know whatever they are, but half of it's drool, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to do an experiment, I think, growing snake plants, because we're going to propagate our snake plant. And I grabbed some spring water out from by your place, and then we're going to do one test in dog slobber and one test in spring water and see which one works better.
I'm going to bet you.
Great video.
It will. I bet you the dog slobber. I really do. I think it's probably got like, yeah.
Well, that's what we're thinking. It might have some super growth properties or something.
Start growing microgreens in it.
I mean, I get 3 gallons a day or more.
That's insane.
All right, Lady Lou's got a question that we sent in earlier. This is a simple one, but it's not easy, or not simple. How do you decide on a brand? Who wants a brand? How do you pick your brand? How do you decide what your brand is going to be? How do you market yourself?
I mean, again, with me, my content, it's pretty easy. My content is what I do for a living. Like, if I didn't,
Kyle couldn't fuck it up.
Kyle
couldn't fuck it up.
I couldn't. I really couldn't. And then it's like the Backwoods thing. That's been, I can't tell you how many, like, from Snapchat to all the other things back in the day, there was something Backwoods in it. And all that comes from is the Justin Moore song, Backwoods. Like, that's just what it was. So when I started a YouTube channel, I was like, naturally, it has to be Backwoods Butcher, because I live in the middle of nowhere in the woods and I'm a butcher. Cool. Perfect. And then it's just kind of grown from there to where it's, again, like, I am just kind of the dark, funny guy that makes inappropriate jokes. And
I thought it was the best wrestler name I'd ever heard of, but Food Forest just come up with Barnyard Assassin. Man, that'd make you a great tag team partner.
Right? Oh, just like a little midget. I have a
Oh, Oh dear.
Wait, can I say that on here?
I don't know. I don't care.
I don't know if the word midget's allowed.
Who wants to see my shirt tonight? How about that? This is a good one. I like my guns, like Democrats, like their voters, undocumented. So we'll see where that gets us. But yeah. So Nicole, what do you think about brand?
I think
I
that
think a lot
Letty
about
already has the brand she needs in her head, and she needs to decide to go for it. And I know that I say that just knowing who she is. So, yes, establishing a brand, you want to know what your core promise to the world is. You want to know who you're targeting, and you want to know what the problem is that you're solving. You want to build that all into a brand that actually reflects who you are if you're going for a personal brand versus, a quartz rock producer brand. But Letty has spent a lot of time thinking about her brand. And she's already there. She just needs to go for it.
Yeah, here's my advice. Stop thinking about it.
Are we
just make some content?
Right. Am I reading into this that it's a bit of the toolbox fallacy there? Is that what we're talking about? Or
also a brand, if you are really good at branding and you get your brand perfect for the shoot, awesome. But most people, somebody wrote this on my YouTube. They said they're really happy about what I said about iterating. Ready, aim, fire is wrong. It's ready, fire, aim.
Sure.
Because when you get your brand out there, people will respond to your brand, and Sue's old ex going to kill me. But anyway, people will respond to your brand, and then you're going to learn from that, and you're going to tailor it. But particularly as a personality, like, I don't want you to meet me and think she's totally different than the person whose podcast I listen to.
Right. Be real.
Because my podcast is me, so I am my brand. Right?
It's just the shiny package around the outside that.
Yeah. So like the cowboy hat came because I wear the cowboy hat all the time. And I actually need a new hat, which is why I haven't worn it lately. But, like that all happened as part of the growth of the podcast and the growth of the community. And I think starting is more important than having the perfect brand to start. But then analyzing what people are responding to is important as you develop your brand, and standardizing on things like this font reflects who I am. These colors are my colors. Like, I'm always red and black. And
me too.
The reason I'm red and black is I have loved red and black since I was like 11. And I only wore red and black until I was 35. And then I actually added purple into the mix. Like, I literally just love those colors. So why would I be any other flipping color in the entire world?
I bought a new sweatshirt recently that's like red.
Yeah.
I came downstairs with it, and my daughter looks at me and goes, "Why are you in a different color?" Like, she was so thrown off I wasn't wearing a black sweatshirt. She was like, "What?"
Every time I wear navy blue, I regret it. I don't like wearing blue.
Yeah. And I throw my thoughts in there too. Like Nicole said, your brand, and I know this is going to go counterintuitive to what a lot of people say about branding, but your brand kind of finds you, especially if you're an individual. Like I think, reading between what Nicole was saying, I mean, if folks meet us, hopefully they think we're the way we are, because that's just who we are. But the little packaging around it, like my little workshop logo and all of that, Toolman Tim kind of just developed organically. And then the workshop came from that. And then and then one day Brian's like, how about delinquents? And I'm like, hey, that works. All of it just kind of finds you. And eventually it just makes this community, that represents what everybody stands for. And like you said, Nicole, standardizing it across the platform. It would be great if you could launch out of the chute with a beautiful brand on every platform, have the username for absolutely everything. It's like the advice of save a bunch of money, then start a business. Well, that's not how any of us really do it. So why would we say it, right? So start creating content, put yourself out there, and just kind of let your brand find you without being lazy about it.
Way to leave me and Brian out.
Be honest about who you are to yourself.
Right.
And understand that, like, if you just do who you are and make the content that you want to make, it will be your brand. You won't have to change anything. Just focus on who you are. You won't have to try to be something. Because once you're trying to be something, you won't be able to try to be it for very long.
How tiresome would that be? Always trying to, oh my God. Like, you're like, oh, I can't show this little corner of my backyard in a video because they'll know that I have a whole bunch of unfinished projects and I'm not that
Man,
guy.
I made a business on showing my unfinished projects.
Absolutely. And you all
like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you
go
also,
ahead,
it is important to make sure your name is good. Like to make sure you like your name. To
okay.
like your channel and stuff like that.
For all,
like, yeah, I mean, again, people do know my name, but it's the majority of the time people are walking up to me, "You're the Backwoods Butcher," and I'm like, "That's a cool name. I'm fine with that." Originally, the name of my channel was going to be Hard on My Meat, so I'm glad I went with Backwoods Butcher.
I wish you had gone with Hard on My Meat.
I know.
Not everybody's going to have "Made in the motherfucking United States" as their slogan either, right? But
right.
But if it reflects who you are, then great. But you know,
as I sit behind a Texas Longhorn in America.
But can you?
I mean, I regret putting the word Tennessee in the title of my podcast.
I was gonna say,
but I will. At this point, I cannot change it.
No.
Like a couple years ago, I was going to be the Living Free podcast, but somebody already has it. They haven't done anything with it for like 5 years, but somebody already has it. And I was like, that's the only transition I could possibly make. But I chose my podcast name because it rhymes.
Yeah.
And I didn't listen to you for an entire year because I thought I had to be from Tennessee before I could listen to you.
Yeah, it's actually a hindrance. And I like, I'm so far down the road now, I don't think a name change is a good idea.
No,
no. Yeah.
Right. So
when it's
I just
worth
have
it.
to
You've
get
got
over that objection.
Well, we thought about changing the podcast name when Joe came on. We're like, should we change the name? Because now it's like, we're still going to talk about the same stuff. Like the only difference is Joe's on full time now. And it's like, no, we'll just keep it. Like it doesn't make sense to completely change everything if the only thing changing is just adding Joe.
Does the NSA target Tim like that? Did that just happen?
I don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I mean, I particularly like this.
Yeah. It looks like you're in Dragon Ball Z just getting ready to...
I saw a very alarmed post about radio outages throughout the world. So maybe Tim just got hit by the great outage.
It was solar flares.
Solar flares.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it's up to us to keep this conversation going. So what's the next question we'd like to answer about content creation? Because he's not running it anymore. So
he's still here. He can hear all of us.
Yeah, I'm sure he can. I'm looking in the things.
I had a question from my crew here. Hold on.
Yeah, let's answer it. And if Tim comes back, he comes back. He might have to reboot.
Shit.
Shit.
What's going on? As a content creator, let me see. As a content creator, do you feel compelled to disclose any use of AI in production of your product, or what is the function of AI in your media productions?
That is a great question. Yeah. I have disclosed the use of AI in the development of my products because I use it.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to get mad when they figure out I use it. So I think it's important to be transparent about what you're doing. I've also been transparent about how much I earn on different things, like to the dollar amount. Because people who look up to me and want to follow what I'm doing need to understand that when I sell a lamb for $300 for meat, I literally need to sell like hundreds of them for that to turn into a big business, right?
You need to raise your
and
prices.
So like, don't follow me and get sheep because you think you're going to make 6 figures unless you're ready to sell enough sheep to make 6 figures.
Right.
And so I think it's especially those of us who are more in a mentoring capacity, we should disclose. Oh, good. I can go back to my side of this.
I have no idea. No idea what happens, why this does this every so often. It only seems to be when I have a whole bunch of people, but whatever. I rarely ever get these issues, but then when we have these big joint podcasts, mine decides.
So we're answering a
We're having a
question
big
from
joint?
Brian's feed about do you feel like you should disclose when you're using AI in content creation? Which I thought was a great question.
No, it's a fantastic question. And I mean, I don't see the benefit of not. Like at this point, all of the AI editing and stuff is so mainstream. Everyone does it. Like you can just scroll through TikTok and just see the people using Opus because it's the font. It's the Opus font. It's like there wouldn't be any reason at this point to lie and say, nope, I'm editing all of these posts. It's like, no, you're not.
But do you come out and say it in every post? This was AI generated?
No. I say it from time to time.
I will. Like there have been times where I've posted stuff where there's a button that says like, or TikTok now will just automatically tell you. It's like there's AI generation in this video.
YouTube is doing kind of similar behind the scenes where I don't know if they've even decided exactly what their limits are going to be or what it is, but they're starting to test out. You need to hit a button if there's AI in this video. And I don't even know where they're going to, because YouTube just launched AI music as well. So that if you want music in your videos, they're going to be able to create artificial just like that. And Opus, AI B-roll now, which it's not available to everybody. I can't wait to get my hands on it. But instead of just, classic stock B-roll footage, it's going to generate new, original B-roll footage for you every time you start your program up. So I love it. I think it's just another tool. I talked quite a bit about AI last night on This Week in Prepping.
Do you guys just use video AI or do you use generative text AI also?
I just use video.
I use text generators. There is no way I can keep up with the email, just the email content alone of 3 businesses without that.
Have you thought about running your own server with
yes. Thought about only.
It?
No, I'm not.
Never
I mean, I'm interested. I'm super curious, but yeah.
I'm on the fence whether I want to build a server and run a Bitcoin and a Lightning node, or if I want to build a server and run a free GPT model.
And what are the benefits? I know nothing about this. So what do you kind of?
You can basically program GPT with the information you want it to have to generate things. Which A, you could make it closer to your voice. B, like if you've seen what Steven Reisner has done with like the nutrient generators for improving your organic backyard soil, it's amazing. Why don't we have that for canning yet? That's the one I've been interested in because I'm a food preserver, right? Like I could make a canning one and put it out. It would be huge value to my network, and it would be, within the parameters I want it to be in. The hesitation I have there is it's a lot of work.
How do you monetize that? How do you make money from that? Or do you?
Teach people how to set it up for themselves.
Like the old university
subscription apps access. Okay. That's the other option.
2 years. Yeah. I guess if you're running it big enough.
Be a member benefit for my podcast members.
Mm-hmm.
Ask the AI. You could call it the holler AI.
Yeah.
I got another question about brand. It seems to be a lot of questions about brand tonight. This one comes from Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead. When you're trying to stay consistent on one brand, but feeling one of them more than the other, what's better, posting just anything more often or posting more meaningful things less often?
I'm now reading it because I see that it's here.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Just anything.
It's a tough. I know I should have read it slower, but let's.
Like with my stuff, I have the butchering stuff and the farm stuff at the same time, but I started that from the very beginning. And what's nice about that is when I do have slow periods, like I've had the past couple months, it's been pretty heavy on farm content. But now that I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things in the butcher shop, I'm able to post a lot more butchering content. So I'm able to kind of do the best of both worlds and be able to push both out. So I don't know if that fully answered the question, but
I think
in the question, it sounds like there's two brands, and like that sounds like you niched a little too hard and pigeonholed yourself.
I'm going to wonder maybe if I'm going to infer here a bit, it might be their Homestead Ham Radio and their Two Chicks Homestead.
right.
Whether that should be one brand, two brands, should you just feed the beast and get something put on? I don't know.
What's the goal?
Right. Because we talked earlier, Kyle, about doing the reps, just putting in the work to get better as time goes on. Right. But just doing reps is pointless if you're not learning from it, or if you're just putting complete shit out there that you're not actually improving on. Right. And that was part of the reason why I cut back from 4 live streams to 3. And now I'm down to 2, because I felt like I was just doing them to do them. And I'm probably going to go back up to another one. But you know what I've done? I've found, I love my interviews. My Sunday night interviews have always been golden, and I love them. But I found Thursday that has become This Week in Prepping, and that has become way bigger than anything I thought would happen. And that all came from not just throwing a bunch at the wall anymore, putting as much as I could into those 2 episodes. And yeah.
But if the question is, if I'm not feeling motivated to post the thing that I have set out in my posting schedule as a consistent schedule, I would back up and say, what is your list of minimums for posting every week?
Mm-hmm.
Is it 3 posts? Is it 1 post? Like, what is that? Do that well. Right. And so if you can't do 3 well, do 1 well. If you can do 3 well, do 3 well. If you can do 20 well, do 20 well. Most people can't do 20 well.
No. What do we got here? Okay, this one's from Jamie. That's my neighbor from up the road at Delinquents Gully. And it says, let's bring it up. I'll put it on screen for everybody. But, and that didn't work at all. Let's try that. There we go. Jamie, from Jamie, what do you all spend on average on Opus, if you use it at all? If not, or in addition to, what other editing software do you use? I've been using, this is Jamie still, I've been using CapCut, which is I'm really starting to enjoy to learn it. But how do you all turn your words into text? How is that done? So I think, number one, he's asking about Opus, and are we spending money on it? Do we like it? And then number 2, what kind of editing software are you folks using? Are we folks using?
Yeah.
Kyle, go ahead.
Yeah, me and Joe split one. So we split the cost. That way we're able to do technically both our channels and the podcast all at once. And we're able to do all that, which has been nice. I don't think I would have bought it by myself. But I have enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it a lot. I think the only problem I have is just on me, just because all you folks speak nice and clear and I talk like I've got marbles in my mouth. So I have to go in and correct a whole bunch of whatever the AI thinks I said.
Gosh, half the time I just let it say some bullshit that it thinks I said.
Sometimes it's real rough. I'm like, am I that bad? Like, what? Then I listen back to it and I'm like, that's exactly what it thought I said for sure. But CapCut's great. I love it. Again, I'm in TikTok. That's kind of my realm at this point. And I've learned it really, really well to be able to use it effectively and to be able to, like, because essentially steal other clips and stuff off of TikTok to use for my own. Like, that was tough in the beginning to figure that out. And now I have it down to a science of get the video out, strip the audio, put the live photo in, put it into whatever, put whatever captions need to be on it. Does this need to be on a CapCut? Can it be done on TikTok? There is a text to, or like audio to text.
Voice.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. In CapCut that you can click on. And then if you are putting it into TikTok, you can also do it straight on TikTok.
And you can download a TikTok video after you've produced it. So like I do CapCut for shorts. It's CapCut to TikTok. And then I download a stripped version of it without the TikTok logo on it and upload it to YouTube. So I use some of the functions from TikTok, or some of the functionality from CapCut, some of the functionality from TikTok in their editor, because there's some of their shit's better. And then it gets downloaded and thrown over on YouTube.
Yeah, because I'll use CapCut in my YouTube videos as well. Because I bought Splice. I think I love it for my YouTube videos. It's just what I started with. I started with the free version. Got to the point where they're like, shit or get off the pot. Like, you're either not going to be allowed to use this anymore or you have to buy it. So we bought it.
For your horizontal video, for your long format?
Yes, for my long form stuff.
Splice.
It's awesome. But what I've started doing now in all my long form stuff, which is, again, I kind of mentioned it earlier, pulling some of my TikTok stuff into my long form to break up the videos, because again, a lot of it is me standing in one spot throwing meat around. Like, there's not a lot changing, but just throwing it all over the place. But there's not a lot changing, so you need to like keep people engaged on what's going on. So I make jokes through all my videos. Half the time I don't even realize I made the jokes until I'm editing and I hear it back, and I'll go pull a Family Guy clip or a clip from a movie, or like just somebody laughing or something, and insert it, just whatever 2 seconds it is, into the video, pulls people out, makes them chuckle because, yeah, all right, he thought that through, or I'll add text or something. And then once that comes back, your brain and everything is all of a sudden like refreshed to what you're doing. Like, you had a break from staring at me for the past 5 minutes, not moving besides my hands. And it brings people back into the fold. But I'm only able to do that by going into CapCut and stripping everything from TikTok to then pull over the Splice.
And are you using Splice on your phone, or are you using it on
my
desktop?
Phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Nicole?
I paid $350 or 320 or something like that for Opus in October.
Oh, for the full year?
For the full year, because you got a better deal. And then they doubled my credits because they did some sort of upgrade. And they allowed me to add users to help as part of that upgrade. So I don't know what I spend every month because I haven't worked through the first set of credits I bought. But I do think about what I put through Opus. Like, I don't put every video I do through Opus because there's some stuff when I'm like, I don't need. Like, I went live out of my kitchen one night just doing sort of a Garden 30 live where I was cooking and just talking to people. I didn't need shorts out of that, right? And I can go live for like hours doing stuff like that, and just like, it doesn't make the best shorts. So I see we have comments about our shorts.
Where did I miss the shorts?
Yeah, Darkwing said, Opus, I've noticed with replays of yours and Jack's shows, the editing makes you sound a bit unnatural. The timing between sentences goes from 1, 2, 3, like 1.5 to the next set. Okay. I don't know.
Part of it is the Opus will take and cut things in order to make it within the time. Sometimes they'll actually cut off like the last third of a word.
Yeah.
And you might be getting some of that too, where they take out almost all of the pauses, the whole TikTok thing, where it's just the whole way through. So that might be where you're getting that. I don't know. I think I spend, like I've said before, I'm a firm believer, especially early on when you first start making some money from content, is reinvest it back in. But I think I'm about $80 a month for Opus. No. And it's worth every penny for me. Between the subscribers I'm gaining on YouTube, and I'm actually making a bit of cash from the shorts feed. This next month will be the real test because I got back into it heavy this month, but not all the way through. So we'll see where we end up. But I'm shooting for 1,000 subscriber month in YouTube. So we'll see where that ends up.
Opus will also put me in some wild spots. They'll completely pull out context.
Oh,
all of a sudden I'm saying something. I'm like, nope,
Do-
I'm not going to put that out on the internet. Well, I already did, but not with zero context.
I love their titles sometimes too. The titles they'll pick for, I'm like, wow, this is unreal. But
Opus thinks I'm married to Tactical.
So I use Filmora. Well, it was 12. It's Filmora 13 now. It's made by Wondershare. I paid a bit for that. I don't remember. What I do is usually on Black Friday, they have yearly subscription specials for most of the software. So that's when I tend to re-up on this stuff. But for the first 2 full years of what I did everything on my iPhone. I started with iMovie, then I moved over to CapCut. And then I realized for me, long form content, if I was going to do it, I needed to move to a PC. And it completely streamlined and made everything way quicker for me. And then I got a better PC and I realized I didn't have to sit around and wait for videos to process like I was before. So that cut a bunch more time too. But for me, I love Filmora. It's what I need. I don't think I'll go to anything any more complicated.
And I also, so like, I guess that was a vaster thing. I use, people are going to laugh. I use Canva to edit shorts.
Really? How does that work?
Because it is faster. And I haven't played with CapCut. Like, I downloaded CapCut last week for the first time to mess with it. And I had messed with it one other time and then my phone broke. So we'll see. But like literally I can drag from Telegram into Canva and go cut, splice, and I'm done. And now that Opus will put the captions in on any video you upload.
That is so nice.
That's nice because you can add captions in Canva or you can bring it into another caption generator. But the Opus clip captions, I like how they look better.
And if you're wondering if Canva can do anything, the answer is probably yes.
Yeah, I mean, Canva has really rolled out some stuff that I'm surprised. Like, I used to think Canva was the worst because I was a total Adobe like layout person. And yes, if I'm doing a print newsletter, I totally don't want to use Canva.
Right.
But like amazingly, like I was shocked at the ability to easily do video editing because I had been using iMovie before.
So this frame that I have around here, just the simple little one, I had somebody do that on Fiverr. It was like $15 or something. It wasn't much, but it took a day and there was 3 or 4 emails back and forth. So I was like, I wonder if I can do this in Fiverr. So this one right here, I just made this in Fiverr. Can you guys see that one? Yeah. When it shows up? Yeah. So took me an hour. And I like it way better. This is for my Thursday episode now. Did I want to spend an hour on it? Well, I was happy with it because I didn't have to send 14 emails back and forth with somebody on Fiverr. So Canva's great for some of this stuff. And you just kind of tweak it. And yeah, it did a good job.
I think our background for our show is just one of the backgrounds from YouTube thumbnail editor. I was like, wood grain, perfect.
Well, I'm starting to like a lot of those generic, easy to design logos that you get done on Fiverr. If you go into Canva, a lot of them are based or very similar to the generic kind of ones that are put in there to begin with. And you could make a beautiful logo with a lot of the stuff that's in Canva. So if you want to take a little bit of time, you can save a bit of money. Got another one here for you. This one's from Arlene. Brian sent this over from his community. Maintaining privacy while still being open, if that makes sense. So in other words, I think this gets down to how much do you share of your personal life? What do you think, Nicole? Because I think I've heard you do episodes on this before, or at least talk about it before.
I hate to be the first one to answer I lost a relationship that had been for 13 years in my life while I was doing my podcast. And it ended in July. And I finally said something about it on the podcast in January because nobody has a right to that.
Right.
And that is gut wrenching. At the same time, like when my grandma died, I said, hey guys, I think my grandma's going to die. So you're not going to hear from me for a week. So I'm going to go. and people were there for the journey. So I think you absolutely should set your boundary that you're comfortable with what you want to share. Nobody has a right to all of your stuff.
Right.
There's
it's okay.
Like, Tim came to my house when I was having a pretty bad day one day, and I shared that with him, not my podcast.
Right.
But I also will say that I have bad days.
Sure.
On the podcast. It's just, there's a certain amount of, everybody doesn't get to know everything. That's where I come from on that.
Nobody has the right to know anything.
No,
right.
We put the information out that we want people to know. If we wanted you to know everything, we'd tell you everything.
And it's okay. Yeah,
and there's something to be said for being out or forthcoming,
right?
Because there's a lot of I got 14 unfinished things. What are you hiding? Kind of mentality there. But there's a lot that you can say without saying everything.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't have to lie about something to not say something about it.
Well, my boundary is, if I need to process it by myself, because I process things by myself, I'm going to process it first.
Yep.
Before I'm going to talk about it. Because what I'm not going to do personally is process on screen. Which other people do process on screen, and that's fine for them. They've built whole followings on that. But I'm more of a solitary processor.
Exactly.
So, an example of this for me is that I'm an audible thinker. I like to say things out loud.
You think with your mouth.
I sure do. And I've realized that has gotten me in trouble sometimes on live streams and podcasts, because I'll be like, I think I'm going to go to this, and this. And it doesn't mean that I'm really going to go there. And even if I say that I'm probably going to go there, it doesn't necessarily. So, okay. Something.
Tim's a big fat liar.
I'm a big fat liar. That is very true. But
he's
working on his weight. How dare you fat shame him?
Right. So that's what I've had to learn. Because over the years, this is something Becky and I have done. We'll sit down and we will plan a vacation somewhere. Sometimes we'll even book hotels, and we'll be like, this is it. This is what we're doing, because we get excited and we want to do it. And then 3 weeks later, we're like, that was really dumb. Why did we do that? But that's part of the process. So then we'll cancel, and we make sure we always do it without, you know what I mean? So that's just how we live with that, because life gets in the way. And so as things come along, we're like, shit, we can't do that. That's okay. But I realize when I start saying that out loud to people who aren't family, number one, they don't understand how I work. And number two, I'm letting people down. So I've realized that I can't necessarily speak some of those things out loud that I like to do, because that's how my brain works.
Yeah. I think another section of this, I have 2 little kids. Now, I have put my kids on my channel. My oldest has been on one YouTube channel or YouTube video, and it was solely because I had the kids for the weekend and I was building something. The youngest was napping, and it's like, come on, kids. So I put a microphone on a 4-year-old, because it was like I was making like a toy for one of the pigs to keep them distracted so they wouldn't go under the fence. I'm like, it is what it is. And then TikTok, I have put them on TikTok, but it's never let me throw a piece of cheese in my kid's face and get their reaction from it, or let me scare the crap out of my kid and record it and put it on TikTok. It's my youngest walking into the field full of pigs and just sitting down and playing with them. It's moments I'm proud of my oldest skinning out a deer, like a 4-year-old with a butter knife skinning out a deer in the shop. I'm proud of her in that moment. And I want everyone to see look how badass my kid is. This is awesome. It's not, ooh, everyone's doing this with their kids and I'm going to capitalize on this or whatever. It's, no, I'm proud of them. Listen, a lot of my stuff is aggressive, super dark, and mostly violent. What I can get through, I don't put my kids on a ton of my stuff because of that reason.
And you know what? Here's the other thing. You've thought about your personal limits and your personal, what line that you will and won't cross ahead of time. And you know where that is. And that's all because that's the thing, that line is different for absolutely everyone.
Exactly.
But having that ahead of time. So Alice and I have been doing, that's one half of my dynamic duo there, the twins. We've been doing these, the Wheel of MRE videos every so often, where we have this like Wheel of Fortune thing and we spin it around. But you know what? She's 13. So I had the conversation with her. I said, I'd love to do this with you, but would you like to be in front of the camera with me? And she's old enough to understand what that means for the most part. And she was fine with it, and I said, would you like to be in the thumbnail? Because that's a whole nother thing. And she was cool with that too. But I discussed it with her and I knew where our lines and our limits were with that. Right. So again, I think, like you said, knowing ahead of time and not selling yourself out.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's where my line is, just the kids. Other than that, I'm a pretty open book. I've said some wild shit on the internet already.
But there is, like Nicole said, there are things that either take longer to share or they just aren't for public consumption.
Right.
And sometimes, and I don't know, it just is what it is, whether it's, personal mental health crises or physical or health issues. There's just certain things that just aren't for everybody else. And even though folks get to know us through our content, that's different than knowing each other in person or being friends or being able to call someone. And so it has to be, and we also have to make sure we set our boundaries too. And if somebody steps over those boundaries, you need to call them out on it or just say no. And if they think you're a dick about it, that's okay. I learned that from Nicole when we first started, just talking about those kind of things. Like, it's okay to be open and honest about yes or no, or this is not a day where I want to hang out and talk, or that, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to set those boundaries early on. And I didn't come from a background that did that. So it took me a while to learn that it was okay to be forceful and be a bit of a dick that way, I guess.
There are also moments where this community is so amazing. I'm 20 something days into quitting smoking. Like that was put out everywhere. I had people from Brian's group reaching out like, hey, you're killing it. You're doing good. Like the positive motivation of just being open. It's like, hey guys, I'm going to be an asshole for the next 2 weeks on all social media. I apologize. Like,
why is that any different?
Why is what any different? No, well, that's very true. Right. More.
So I have a friend who downloaded an app that calculated every day he didn't smoke how much money he didn't spend on cigarettes. And he found that very motivating.
Yeah.
For what that's worth.
Yeah.
So
I'm going for the physical just to get into better shape.
Canadian
I'm
Farm
tired of
said,
wheezing upstairs at 31.
Said you can be authentic while not sharing things that are not emotionally safe to share. You can also take some time to come to terms with certain things that you want to share and not share them right away. I think back on a couple of instances for me. One of them was, I remember talking to Amy Dingman about this and the jab, for instance, right? That was very much looked down upon from within our community. And so I didn't share the fact that we had gone out and got vaccinated for a very long time. And I felt disingenuous for not sharing that fact. The other, maybe a month ago when I shared, or 2 months ago, I'm like, hey guys, I'm tired of being fat. That didn't come out overnight on the show. Right. And I'm still not there yet, but when you make yourself slightly emotionally vulnerable or share something that's a little uncomfortable, that's when you really help people too. So it's a hard line to not cross.
You got the jab?
Yeah, dude.
Click. No.
I sure did. Yeah. Oh yeah. And
got it too.
Yeah. And so whatever, fuck it. It is what it is. And you might as well be absolutely honest about who you are. And, I mentioned last night that, one of my big struggles for many years was anxiety. And, it's still kind of there. And I've always taken a low grade pharmaceutical for it since I was like fucking 18 years old. And I don't think I ever shared it until last night on the show. And I'm like, you know what? Somebody out there probably struggles with something like that too. And they're probably, they might have needed to hear it. And maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But sometimes you share and sometimes you know your limits, I guess.
You just need a high-grade non-pharmaceutical.
Yeah, that fucks me up royally. I'm sure I've shared this story before about anyway. What do we got left for questions here, boys? I got one from Jake from Ravenwood Acres. He said, and this is another one on branding. It says, Tim, I think a good question or topic would be rebranding. I recently started a new YouTube channel to better focus on my emergency comms content. I'm still questioning my decision. Should I have just renamed it Ravenwood Acres or started anew? Either way, I'm committed now, but others might have the same question. So Jake has Ravenwood Acres channel. I think he's like around 3,000 subscribers, and he's done homesteading. He's done like vintage Stanley stoves or whatever those stoves are that he's done. I don't know. Coleman stoves. Thank you. And it's all kind of a catch-all with that stuff. And I didn't actually realize that he had started a new channel for his comms because he's really into the mesh networking and that sort of thing. So what do you guys think? Should he have started a new channel? Should he have kept it all under one umbrella?
It depends on how much it is. If you're putting out just as many videos on the new comms channel that you are already on with the content you already have, it kind of makes sense to put it out as its own thing if it's going to be that different and you think it's going to get different eyes on what you're doing.
It goes back to the same thing I asked you earlier with the RSS feed, is that we're setting up a new channel to just blast your RSS feed there. With watching all these videos from the influencer program and how to do that, you wouldn't believe the subscriber counts people have, and they're like, yep, just started a new channel for this. Go for it.
Really?
Yeah. I think if the way that YouTube niches down on people, if your passion is comms,
go to a comms channel.
Like I have a channel called Homegrown Cooking that has not rolled out a schedule yet, but we've been recording for it for a reason, because it's all about cooking from scratch. And do I talk about cooking from scratch on Living Free in Tennessee? Absolutely. But I talk about 97,000 other things there too. And I thought, well, this can be there and I can occasionally talk about it on my thing, but it will attract people who would never listen to my other podcasts.
Well, it's like me and Brian just talked about that this week. Like we had joked about doing like a conspiracy show or something like that, like a live thing on TikTok. And it's like, I definitely want to be a part of that, but I don't know if I want to link my channel to that. Like my
100%.
You didn't want to blow up.
Huh? Yeah, I know. I don't know. So it's like there's that gamble back and forth of what do you do with that?
So this is streaming to my other YouTube channel, and it's just called Workshop Radio, and it's gone through 5 or 6 iterations. It's got like 300 subscribers right now, and it's really just this little testing ground where I'll throw stuff to see what happens. And I don't promote it. Nobody really finds it. It's just there. I was doing stuff with shorts for a while. I'd throw my shorts up there and I'd link it back to the replay of the live stream to see how it would work. I've done a couple of like different type of movie reviews over there. So I've pulled my 5-minute movie review from This Week in Prepping, and then I've taken the trailer of the movie and I've reverse engineered it. So you cut it up so that it doesn't, I was basically doing it to see what kind of copyright strike I could or couldn't get. And I didn't get any. So there's that. So it's kind of fun to have this place to play around and try something different, because again, the bigger your channel, the bigger the stakes. And if you try something weird and you screw something up, you could lose a lot. So it's fun to have this, like Nicole with the cooking channel. It's fun to have a different platform to just kind of toss things on and see what happens. All right. Anybody? I don't know if I've got any other. I've got a few funny questions here, and some that didn't really fit in with tonight's topic. I think I didn't do speaking of branding, I don't know if I did a very clear in Telegram and a couple other spots whether people realized these questions were supposed to be about content creation, because I got questions about goats and above ground root cellars and a few others. So
sounds like you need to do a totally different show on homesteading.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to do a roundtable on that too. So I love these roundtable episodes, but you know what? We're coming up on 2 hours. So I think we've done really, really well. And I think I've made it
Weird.
through.
4 people that talk all the time got together and talked for 2 hours.
For 2 hours.
Wait,
It's not like 5 minutes.
Amazing.
You had 4 people who do podcasts on a podcast talking about podcasts, and you're surprised we made it to 2 hours?
Dude, that's friggin' meta. Whoa.
4th wall break.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Let's go around. I want to ask maybe one more question, but what's going to be your content creation focus for the rest of 2024, Nicole?
So the homegrown cooking channel is gonna get launched, and I've been recording with Don Gorham from Gorham Homesteads to do nose to tail cooking for like a cow, but we may mix in some. I might do lamb fries and some other interesting things there. Our first 4 are about steak because people don't know how to cook steak. So some of the things we know how to do, some of the things we don't know how to do. And that's been a really fun project for me. But as far as like living free in Tennessee, I've kind of gone back to the basics of building your life strategic plan and how to roll that out and unapologetically building the life you choose on one hand. And then on the other hand, I'm circling back on the homesteading stuff because to me, I've been homesteading for 17 years. I've been doing the podcast for 7 years. Do I really need to tell you how to pickle beets? Well, Janet, who's been listening since episode 8, probably not. But we have new people coming in all the time. So we're hitting, like, especially in the spring, like gardening, seed starting, canning, all of those things, because I realized that just the nature of content creation and podcasts is that there are people who are there with you all the time, but there are always people coming in new who are like, I just want to learn how to, do X. And that's what
I want to learn how to do X too.
I know. Right?
No, don't you mean formerly known as Twitter? Sorry.
Yeah.
Worst rebranding
I mean, every time
does
anybody else like get completely confused when they're reading articles and it says X said that blah blah blah, and I'm like, X?
Is it like,
are they talking about Xavier or Hawk? Like, who are they talking about here?
Is X going to give it to me? What
Yeah.
are we doing here?
I had to read a sentence like 4 times the other day because it said X instead of Twitter.
How about you,
That
Brian?
is a branding fail right there. That is a branding fail.
Oh, the worst.
Real bad branding.
Amazon influencer, one thing. I'm just doing that, and the morning show is the morning show now. It's a morning show, and it's whatever the night before I'm in the mood to talk about, and I write notes out about, and half the time I talk about all of it, half the time I start to talk about one thing and end up talking about whatever the live feed audience wants to talk about. And we talk about everything from RV living to when I homesteaded to conspiracy theories to whatever random shit comes up, and focusing more on freedom shit, man, like Noster, and being uncensorable and being able to say whatever I want, because there's a lot of times that I do realize that I probably shouldn't say what I say because it could just all go away.
Yep.
So I want to be set up for it to all go away first.
How about you, Kyle?
I am planning on hitting TikTok hard. I really think I can grow that fairly well. Like, again, jumping back into it this past couple weeks, I've been like, all right, I've been getting a lot of good responses. I've been getting a lot of good traffic and stuff. And then this live today just kind of lit a fire under my ass of like, oh, got it. I can make this happen. And then, just trying to be more consistent with my YouTube stuff, the podcast, just kind of be consistent and try and grow it. And we've got a bunch of cool guests coming up. We're talking to just real people. Like me and Joe are literally just reaching out to farmers either in our area or like if we come across another channel. It's like, we're not going after the big guests. It's like, cool, come in. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you're raising. Easy. Calm down, Alexovich. But yeah, we're just kind of trying to figure it out. I don't know. and then I'm just going to use all of my new TikTok fame to get me on Survivor. That's all I'm focused on at the moment.
We'll get you there. For me, I'm laser focused on YouTube. I mentioned it, but everything is going to funnel back into that. The podcast, it comes from YouTube, but the main idea is figuring out those 2 lives that go out every week, how to turn them into more long tail content so that it keeps bringing people back, so that people are watching those episodes. Because what was always happening with my lives was they're a one and done. And I get it. You have to do some of that, but it was literally within 24 to 48 hours, they would get 0 traction afterwards. But the ones that would get traction did really well. So just to be a little more search engine optimized on that. Community posts, YouTube is pushing. They're actually going to do a text only feed coming up pretty soon, so that, because if you've noticed in your YouTube feed, there's a ton of community posts where people are like, what's this color of the sky? Blue, green, orange, and they're polls and different things. So they're going to have a whole text-based feed in YouTube as well. So I've been starting to pre-schedule polls and different things on my channel at the same time every day. It gives you a lot of interaction. It gives you a lot of data that you can turn into videos. And just doing the reps from here out the rest of the year is just, I've got a really good thing with the Thursday show. I know I do. And I'm just going to keep doing it until it gets bigger. And Mike Rowe, I'm going to have him on the show at some point. I keep saying it, and it will happen. Damn it. It may not be this year. And I'm also trying to, just for the hell of it, and I don't know why I want to do this, but my Thursday show is a little more G or PG rated, because I would love to get that show on terrestrial radio somewhere. I want to get it on a radio station. I don't know why, I just do. And so it's going to happen at some point. And Brian has the weirdest look on his face.
So I will never be a guest on a Thursday show.
I don't do guests. Yeah. But so
it's funny because getting on terrestrial radio in my area means going into their studio to record.
Right.
That's probably the look on his face, because I've literally thought about, like, I know the stations here. I can give them the audio, but they don't want it. They want me to come in and talk to the mic at their studio.
Tim, our main plans are to go to the 2 most dying forms of getting information: terrestrial radio and reality TV.
I know, brother.
I do best on audio podcasts. All the video stuff I do does not do well as my audio. Like, I have way more downloads on my audio podcast.
I read this article earlier today, and it was about McDonald's closing in Ontario in the mall. And the whole thing was, it was like, where do old people drink their coffee? It was a nostalgia thing, right? There was no real sense behind the article other than the fact that the poor senior citizens will have to go somewhere else for coffee. There was no business model or business case behind it. That's kind of how I feel about AM talk radio. I grew up listening to it. Every time I hear a station go out of business, it makes me kind of sad. I know there's no business model there whatsoever, but if I can take something existing that I'm doing and maybe bring just a little bit of life back to it, I'm cool with that. So there you go. All right, Nicole, go around the horn. Tell us where to find you, how people can throw money at you, that kind of thing.
So I'm Nicole Sauce, and the fastest way to find everything I do is at NicoleSauce.com. But I do have a podcast called Living Free in Tennessee. And the big focus right now for us is that Self-Reliance Festival is April 6th and 7th. And 3 of us on this stream will be there, and 1 of us should be there, but won't be there this time.
It's also my birthday weekend.
What? And it's a pretty awesome gathering of homesteaders, preppers, anybody in the do-it-yourself world in Camden, Tennessee, April 6th and 7th. Early bird pricing is in place right now. Go to selfreliancefestival.com to check that out. And you'll get to meet Angry American, just saying. Just for those of you who might like his books a little bit. I mean, if you want to meet the guy in person.
I'm excited about that. I'm at 2 events with him. I'm going to be at the one in North Carolina in May, and Franklin Horton's going to be there too. So, all right, Brian, how about you?
The lotsproject.com is one place you can go, and all the social links are across the top. YouTube under at the Lots Project. I do a Monday morning through Friday morning podcast, 6 a.m. Central, for an hour ish, give or take. Kyle's usually there. These other two, I think they sleep in or something. I've never seen any.
No, I'm just already working. I am already working.
And if you want to check out my Amazon storefront that came with my Amazon influencer program, you can go to amazon.com/shop/the Lots Project. And it's got a bunch of all the videos I put up there, and then idea lists, which are kind of like recommended products. I do like a full-time RVing recommended products, my everyday carry stuff that I got off of Amazon, and all sorts of stuff like that. So that's what I got.
Cool. And Backdoor Butcher, what do you got for us?
So you can find me everywhere at Backwoods Butcher. I know it's stuck. Of course it was gonna stick. There's no way it wouldn't have stuck. That is such a hilarious mockery of my name that it's perfect. I'm not even mad.
Your mom. Oh wait, no, sorry.
No. So I am everywhere at Backwoods Butcher 603. So that is YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I need to get better about posting on Instagram, but we are there. And yeah, we also have a podcast, Meet the Critters, MEAT. That goes live at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. And yeah, pretty much if you enjoy a dude playing with his meat on the internet, you're going to love me.
Is that Meet the Butchers, like MEAT, because you guys are butchers? Is that why you did that?
Well, no, I mean, it was a podcast. We lost him. No, it was a podcast about butchering and farming. Like,
I mean,
so
you did say you were going to go at it hard, so that's all I can say, right? I mean, whatever.
Exactly.
Oh, before this entire episode goes right down the shitter. Thanks, guys, for coming in.
It's already there too.
Oh man, this was
15 minutes in. Brian dropped the F-bomb.
We're good. That was great. Thank you, guys. This was a lot of fun.
I love
Everybody
the
out there,
offended look on Brian's eyes.
I didn't think that I was the first, was I?
You absolutely were the first because I was tracking it.
I didn't know. I ain't worried about it. Sunday night. Anyway, we have a great time. It was a good time. So thank you, guys. And everybody out there, make sure you support all the fellow content creators. And if you have questions for this kind of thing down the road, let us know. And if you have suggestions for other roundtable episodes, because these are a hell of a lot of fun to do, send them my way, send them anybody's way. And guys, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week. Brian's